My 36M wife 43F told me she doesn't have feeling for me anymore, wants to get separated and wants me to move out. Flat out, after 10 plus years in a relationship, 3 of those years married and an 8-year-old child we have together. So, why am I posting this? I think I need words or ideas from other people. I started reading this and other related subs years ago when my wife had issues with her mom, they're NC now for 4 to 5 years, who really is some crazy woman with narcissistic tendencies. I don't even know if it's maybe myself who is the narcissistic idiot. I can't tell anymore. Our marriage wasn't good and happy. Maybe for a few months or even a full year, because it was kind of fresh back then and felt different than just being parents/partners. I married my wife despite uncovering an affair she had in 2018. I still don't know if it even was the first of its kind back then. I uncovered it by snooping her phone. I was in a very dark place at this time and actually in therapy for it. I was suffering from depression. I was distant. Cold. Couldn't give her the love, appreciation and everything else she longed for. So she searched it somewhere else. She went nuclear when she found out because I invaded her privacy. At this point she was calling me dozens of times while I sat in church, not even a religious person, and cried my soul out. When I finally answered the phone, she was just angry. She denied everything besides knowing that I was able to read chats with her AP that left absolutely no room for interpretation. When she finally gave in, she promised me to go NC and stop it and to give everything to make up for her terrible mistake. Just a few weeks later, I uncovered that she was still in contact with him. I packed some crap and confronted her, ready to spend some nights at my parents' house. She had a hysteric breakdown, panicked, vomited all over the bathroom. I stayed. I'm sorry for myself that I can't undo this decision. And I made it worse by marrying her in 2020. She recently was on a mother-child health resort. She was completely changed when she came back. Turned out she realized how broken our marriage is and how I would keep trying to get better despite her asking me for MC and other stuff. Can't deny that, she's right. Yet, I know what was wrong with me. I never really forgot 2018. Never. It changed me. I never trusted her again. I checked our place at least once a week for hints that she did something shady. Non-stop since 2018. I never brought up the strength to tell her, but I couldn't imagine a stable future with her because of those trust issues. I lost friends. I isolated myself more and more. I stopped trying to talk to her. In the past, if she brought up something she wanted to talk about and I told her I'd need some time to think about it or couldn't even understand the issue, she often yelled at me, physically blocked me from leaving the room, pinched me or pulled my hair. At some point, years ago, I went to just agreeing to everything or to not caring about everything to avoid conflicts. I focused on my job and after all earned twice as much as my wife. I can't deny that I was a mediocre, at best, husband. But there's nothing more important to me than our child. This motivated me to go on with this relationship. Just a few months ago, I uncovered very strong hints that she had an active affair that already went for months, again. I gaslighted myself, turned everything around over and over again and talked myself into leaning towards you're wrong, it's harmless. The hidden photo in her wardrobe, of him and her kissing? Just friendship, for sure. So when we had the talk around a week ago, I brought that up. She denied it. She didn't know what I'd talk about. Keep in mind the talk was about splitting up. There should not have been a point in lying anymore. I sent her a photo of him and her. She got angry and asked me why? Invaded her privacy again. She then shrugged it away. This affair would be over since a few months and there's no point in discussing it since we would split up anyway. I asked her why she didn't leave me sooner if everything was so bad for her. She said she needed the safety of our marriage. That she suffers from existential materialistic fears. So yeah, she wanted and wants a nest. A place to feel safe and secure in. No matter what. I always had this feeling. I'm 99% sure that she hooked up with a widowed guy. His wife died 2 years ago, with 2 kids that went to the same health resort. Won't get into details. But I think he's just next. I brought it up. She denied it. Of course. I'm in such a confused state of mind and emotion right now. My wife wants me out and to just vanish and on the other states that we would find a way to agree about everything like sharing money etc. And that she thinks I'm a very good and loving father for our kid and we should find ways to maximize the amount of contact. Yet, she does nothing more than telling me those expectations. It was me who went to a lawyer last week to get some quick do's and don'ts for the upcoming time. I didn't tell my wife so far. Me who currently tries to get all our materialistic and financial crap together to come up with some kind of plan. Me who faces the nearly impossible task to find an apartment or something similar close to our current place, to stay near to our kid. I don't have a car/license, and affordable after all the payments I'll face when I move out. Me who articulated a proposal on what, when and how we tell it our kid, and who made an appointment with the school's social worker to ask them to look out for our kid in the next time. Now I don't understand my feelings. I already agreed that we should separate. But I'm confused. I really miss the feeling of having a family. Even when much of it was a lie and pretending. I miss providing this for our kid. And my heart is absolutely crushed by the thought of destroying our kid's world. It also feels like I just can't. I feel like giving up my existence. I fear starting from zero. I have no real friends left. I feel incredibly alone, and deep inside I long for my wife, despite feeling disgust, anger, jealousy and many more negative things at the same time. We didn't touch or kiss for more than 5 weeks now, and it's really hard to get over this, but I can't explain why. My rational mind knows there's no way back and it's better to look forward. But I can't. My mood swings from hour to hour. I'm wrecked. Edit. I think my priority should be moving out. From there on, I can start going for it. I already called a therapist and will have my first session in 2 weeks. I need someone to keep pointing towards the bright sides, or I'll fall. I need some kind of headquarters for myself, where I can set everything up that needs to follow. Makes no sense to work on my license, health, etc., while I'm not mobile and don't know where I'll live in the next months or years. As I said, I'll try to stay close to my kid, but the chance of getting something affordable and closer than in a 5 kilometers radius is very difficult. But deep inside I know I won't start what needs to be done as long as I didn't move out. I'm in the worst shape and health I have ever been. I know that. My wife knows that. But I didn't take care of myself because I didn't feel like anyone would care. For a long time. I need to change that, I'm aware of it. But it's hard. I brought the topic of custody up with my lawyer. She told me that me moving out won't be a problem concerning this. Custody doesn't change, we have and already had signed shared custody before marriage. My wife says she does not want to change that and thinks we'll both be happier and even better parents when we're no longer a couple. Maybe she's right, but I do trust her anymore. I asked her if she'd be willing to sign a contract about custody and she agreed. So maybe she's honest there. She got advice from a personal coach, I'm pretty sure. A self-improvement kind of coach, not a professional in laws. She doesn't know that I know though. Thing is, after all that happened between us, I'd still be happy for her to improve in everything she wants to achieve, just because she's the mother of my child. But I don't know if there are any more hidden agendas behind it. It seems like she realized / came to the conclusion / was pushed towards being convinced that I am her main problem and everything will be fine when there's a distance between us. That this is the absolute first thing to do, with all force. Leave that guy. Leave him. Everything else later. Just go. Maybe that's the case. Maybe the same goes for me. But maybe there's more. Update 1. I owe this community a lot for keeping me sane in the darkest times. So with this post, I want to give something back, but I guess most people who visit this place share a similar mindset that I had back in the beginning of all this. But who knows? Maybe it reaches someone. Back in 2018 I posted the first time in this sub, with an alternate account. D-Day happened by chance, followed by my gut feeling, and I was utterly devastated. Much worse than the cheating, the affair, the pure sexual act of it that my wife went for was realizing that I've been lied to, made use of, treated like an idiot. Our daughter was 3-year-old back then. At the time the affair took place I was in therapy for a depressive episode. I wasn't available for my wife, I was distant and cold, and of course she reached out to someone else. I eventually gave in. When I confronted her and told her I'm about to leave, she became hysterical, panicked, puked. I took her back. I gave her a chance. I canceled my therapy when I realized that most problems I had originated in the relationship to my wife. I feared consequences. I didn't want to be alone. I especially wanted this family to work, for the sake of our daughter. I married this woman 2 years later. When we left the church, she whispered to me, "Thank you for forgiving me." What happened in these 2 years? What changed? For her, nothing. I didn't tell anybody about her affair. She went on like nothing happened. I brought it up a few times in fights. That's it. What changed for me? Everything. I'm not the person I was until 2018. I lost trust. Completely. But I ate it all. The whole crap cake. I compensated by covertly snooping around the house. Multiple times a week. For years. Looking for hints of something shady going on. I brought my trust issues up 1 or 2 times. "There's nothing to fear, dear," was the answer. I became cynic and bitter. I lost interest in hobbies and friends. I didn't trust our shared friends anymore because I didn't know who knew. I isolated myself. I focused on my job and enjoyed time alone with my daughter. I did hours over hours at work just to avoid being home, with my wife. I stopped being a caring partner. I emotionally detached and just hoped for it to get better without actively pursuing this. I didn't participate in making plans for the future, which made my wife angry. I couldn't, because I didn't trust my wife to stay loyal. I became a person that I hated and treated myself like that. I became unlovable. I ate the cake. This didn't stop after we married. It's 2023 now. 5, nearly 6 years after the D-Day. My wife and our kid did a 3-week health retreat in August. After they returned, my wife was extremely distant. She avoided me. I tried talking to her, with no avail. It took a few weeks, up until late October, that she finally came forward and told me she wants me to move out, has no more feelings left for me and doesn't want to continue the relationship. When we had this talk, that she planned and arranged, I wasn't even shocked. She started by kind of listing things that I did in the past that kinda pushed her towards this decision. Super old stories that I sometimes could not even remember. How I reacted when our first dog was diagnosed with cancer. How I was unreliable in financial aspects. How I sometimes abandoned meetups with friends. How I would leave for hours without telling her. Happened maybe 3 to 4 times in 11 years. Just a box of accusational memorabilias. I took the opportunity and asked her about a certain gut feeling and some hints of the past months concerning a certain guy. She denied it first. I brought it up again and presented the hints. She gave in, emotionless, stoic. This is over, it doesn't matter anymore. So yeah, there was at least one other affair that lasted for months. I asked her about the widower she got to know in the retreat. I know she visited him a few weeks ago and she took her thongs with her. You readers know the routine. She wants our daughter to write him and his kids' birthday cards and bought presents for his kids. I'm certain there's stuff going on. She denies. Of course she does. So what's the current status? My wife has built up a solid narrative that paints me as the bad guy. As I work full-time, and she just part-time, me earning at least twice as much as her and therefore being the one who laid all major and small things over the years, I am the one who did everything wrong. In her story, it's me who did the damage. And to be fair, I can't and won't even deny that. But it's an incomplete story. She misses out the affairs when she tells people. I don't know for sure, but I think so. At least one of her best friends knows about it. I overheard them talking outside our house once. My wife said I don't know if he told his parents about my affair, but if he did I'm sure he didn't tell them. He pushed me towards doing so. Is she right about that? I can't say. I'm as confused right now as I was for years already. I told her that now I finally knew why our last holiday felt so strange. I gave my best to make a beautiful time for us as a family and I really enjoyed it, besides realizing that my wife went out of the hotel pretty often, to call her AP obviously. That there always was an empty signal chat in her phone's tabs, a chat with him, that I had the chance to take glimpses of. It felt strange because it was no holiday that we enjoyed as a family. It was a holiday that she did without her AP. We hadn't segs for months this year's. The timeline when she suddenly started initiating one evening in September probably lines up with the time she ended the aforementioned affair. I'll probably move out in December. Our daughter knows, but we agreed upon telling her that mom and dad are out of love and can't stay good parents for her as long as we live under the same roof. When we had the talk, I asked her why we wouldn't tell her that mommy fell in love with someone else. Just to be transparent. Of course she didn't agree on that. I fear that my daughter will be further instrumentalized by her to push her agenda. She did this before. I can't do anything about it. There's no chance in fighting for full custody and it would hurt our daughter even more, nonetheless. That's where I am now. Wasted years. It's just my daughter that shines and keeps my going. I'm grateful she exists and results from better times in the relationship to my wife. No true friends left. Just me, a tiny amount of savings to start over again and the hope that me and my wife will handle everything concerning our daughter fairly. At least we agree that we are each good parents. Time will tell. Many people in this sub recommended me to leave. I didn't want to face the truth. That healing would not be possible. That my wife didn't suffer consequences and would keep going as before. That it would happen again. That staying would destroy me. All became true. The users in this sub are exceptional in sharing the same experiences. So many people here understand what harm certain relationship dynamics can cause. They understand that affairs aren't just this kinky dirty oopsie whoopsie the way media and culture sometimes paint them. They destroy relationships and individuals. They can be traumatizing. Thank you guys, for trying. I'm sorry I didn't listen. Everyone else, take my story as an example. Don't try to the R if you have the smallest doubt that your partner really wants to leave their comfort zone. Most times they won't. Edit, I chose to go the soft way. My daughter is a pretty clever one. And I won't lie to her if she asks the right questions. Maybe soon, maybe one day. My soon-to-be ex and I made it clear that she can talk to anyone she wants about it, at all time. That it's no secret that mommy and daddy will go separate ways and she can ask anyone anything she wants, talk with us if she is angry, sad, in fear, etc. She took it pretty well. My biggest fear though is that my wife controls the narrative concerning our daughter. And well, I can't trust her, so who knows? If my suspicions about the current affair are based on real stuff, my wife will behave and act carefully to not raise any suspicions in my daughter. This makes me sick to think about, but I can't do anything about it that wouldn't cause drama and make my daughter feel confused. It's often small things we can't even describe to others that give these very intense feelings of something being wrong. When the feeling started in the recent, at least second, maybe first since marriage, affair my wife finally admitted, I wrote all these moments down for myself, hoping I'd wake up reading them over and over again. Didn't help though. But looking back, I was right in every single moment or small observation. A few months back, I saw my wife and him in front of our house. He works in ambulant care, knows my wife for decades and had a patient next door. I saw how they hugged for a greeting, his back facing me. And something was very, very off about how she hugged him. The way she bent her finger on his back. Super small details. My gut feeling went on maximum. After her first affair in 2018, I found this guy's number hidden on a piece of paper in a notebook. So maybe it was an on and off thing between them for years. Today I know it's part of her modus operandi. The number of her first AP was hidden in her purse. The second one too. And now, since the retreat, a new number. Always the same. She saved her first AP's number in her phone with a female fake name. After some years, you know your partner very well. And your body tells you when things are off. Most times you won't find undeniable proof for an affair. But you don't need to. It's their part to rebuild the trust. If they don't even try, leave. I didn't. Worst mistake of my life so far. She wants to downgrade you to friendship. It makes her life easier in the co-parenting realm. She is free to pursue others romantically while being best buds with her ex to co-parent the children. Never set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Prioritize your happiness and healing. You've given up a lot of yourself in this relationship and need to focus forward on living a healthier and happier life. I had these thoughts already and waded into the process of looking for a place to rent. It's basically being as close as possible to my daughter, like 1 or 2 streets away, or living a few miles away. The first variant would allow spontaneous meetings and make it possible for our kid to just come over by herself. But I would risk to become the I got some spontaneous plans to hang out with someone or whatever. Please take the kid, she's over at your place in 5 minutes. Thanks, father, who is nothing but a person that keeps my ex-wife's life as comfortable as possible. And I'm pretty certain this would happen. And it won't be me who needs spontaneous relief for the kid. Most of my days consists of work, and after I moved out, there will be weeks and months that I need to get my crap together and start over. Example, no spontaneous time. Living a bit further away will force us to work on a schedule on when I'll spend time with our daughter. A mandatory schedule. I think this is the better variant. You made a huge mistake quitting therapy. Sounds like it's been toxic before and after her infidelity. Why are you moving out? Prioritize your needs. Use Grey Rock and 180 methods effectively. She will always be who she is and she'll never show remorse, so don't waste time on her. Focus on your recovery and healing. She will be who she is, and I don't really know what person that is. Sadly. Yeah, quitting therapy was stupid. The therapist from back then isn't available anymore. Found a new one though for the next time. I'm moving out because it's honestly the way that hurts our daughter less. You need to know I live in Germany. If you're living in a rented space with a partner and get married, this place becomes protected by some laws. No matter who signed the rental contract, only one partner, both, etc. You have the same rights after getting married. This protects the married couple from certain things a landlord could do. But it also makes it impossible for one partner to kick the other one out, except for cases of domestic violence, etc. I brought that up to my wife and she didn't know that. For her it was all logical that I'm the one to leave. One reason was that it's only her name in the contract. This showed me that she didn't really have a clue about what we would go through. No idea of the consequences of a separation. Just get the problem, me, off of me. This is either a fair fog or her being fully convinced I'm the main problem. Doesn't matter anyway, to be honest. I admitted that it's the best for our daughter if I move out. Her school is nearby. Her friends, etc. I work 40 to 50 hours a week, my wife 25-hour a week. She takes care of most stuff that concerns our daughter. We agreed to this model years ago as I was paid better anyway and she works in a job that won't allow her many raises or a serious career. So her leaving would cause more turmoil for our kid. The alternative, me and our kid moving out, is nearly impossible. It's incredibly difficult to find a place to rent where we live. Let alone a place for at least 2 people. This variant would technically be possible for me as I wouldn't have to pay child support when the kid is with me. But without child support, my wife wouldn't be able to pay the rent of our current place, from her paycheck alone. Also, there's no way she would agree to anything else but me moving out. This would mean I'd have to take that to court. Which is effing expensive and causes a crapload of drama. I consulted a lawyer about that and was told that my chances to be successful would be minimal. The main reason being that my wife manages more parts of our daughter's life already. Family courts around here focus on the well-being of kids involved. I understand that. So, it's just the sad, but pragmatic and based decision that I leave. When you move out, will she be able to move her AP into the apartment with your daughter living there too? My worst nightmare, from the perspective of a father, but very unlikely. Guy has 2 underage kids who lost their mom 2 years ago. I guess he doesn't want to pull them out of their supportive environment, if this even exists, but I guess so. It's a single dad who went to a health resort with his kids, so he kinda seems to care. I don't know his last name, neither where he lives though. Yeah, the dog story was especially confusing. I asked her to elaborate because I couldn't remember. She said when she came back from the vet and told me about it, I said, well, that sucks, and I didn't comfort her immediately. Note that it was me who went to the vet with her former dog to out him down because she couldn't bear it. Many other examples she threw at me were similar. I brought a few things up that I never talked about with her. Like when I had an accident on my way to work a few years back. I took her bike because mine was flat. When I called her from the doc's waiting room, had a concussion, swollen foot and multiple bad abrasions, and asked her to pick me up later the day because I kissed the concrete at high speeds. Her first reaction was asking me why I took her bike and if it's damaged in any way. Another time I puked in her car, right before arriving at our doorstep. Not from any intoxication. I obviously became sick, had high fever and felt like crap and couldn't hold it. I remember how mad she was at me. She told me she was mad because I didn't offer her to help cleaning it up. I went inside, fell on the sofa and slept the rest of the day. You're right. She's never wrong. That's why I became silent at some point. Discussing things with her were pointless. Even the smallest things. When she offered 3 dates for anything, the decision was already made for her. It was some kind of pseudo-choice in everything. Also the persistence in things she wanted. If I didn't agree on something, from small things like giving a foot rub to big things like financial investments, she never accepted a no until I gave in. Never. I don't worry about the cheating thing. If that's what they tell some people and they pity her for it and see her as a victim, this either means she told them a particular timeline of events, and they ate it, or those people don't value the most basic agreement of monogamy that me and my still wife agreed on when we married. Either way, I hope I'll not be sad too long to have these people taken out of my life. Update 2. 3 weeks ago, I moved out. She told me that in a recent health retreat, she realized that she has no more feelings for me and also brought up a huge load of old things that did wrong. I don't even disagree with that. I frequent this sub because some of the stories here, some insights and some advice fits perfectly with my experiences and helps me a lot to cope. Yet, I don't feel like calling my soon-to-be ex-wife next anyway. I saw my therapist yesterday. It was just the second session, but I brought up something that I needed help with. I noticed that I can't talk about my wife's affairs, the first one from 2018, the one that likely went on for multiple years and is still going on, and a recent one that happened at and after the health retreat with a single dad who was on the same retreat. She denied the latter one, but I got proof for it she doesn't know of. I know that all these things don't matter in the face of separation anymore. She's now free to do whatever she wants to with other men, but I know that she doesn't include this part of our separation when she talks with common, shared friends and people. And I realize that I somehow cannot bring it up when I talk to those people. There's 2 to 3 people in my family who I talk to about my own failings and my wife's affair. I feel blocked, which in turn makes me really angry in recent conversations with friends of me and my soon-to-be ex. Most of them went silent anyway. But the 2 or 3 who reached out to me or who I reached out to seem to only know her narrative. I am absolutely fine with admitting everything I might have done wrong. But on the other hand, I don't think that my soon-to-be ex will bring up her affairs. So my therapist had an interesting notion. In his opinion, it's a feeling of injustice that makes me angry. And some kind of taught decency and rational thinking keeps me from just shouting into people's faces that my wife betrayed me, destroyed my ability to trust. I normally don't give much about how people perceive and what they think of me. But this time it's different. It feels unfair. My therapist said reflect a lot about my part of the failed marriage, and his guess is that my wife doesn't. There's one of her best female friends that knows about her affairs, and my best guess is that her narrative is something along that made me do it. And yet she keeps it for herself when talking to most people. Then it's me who failed. Me, who effed up the marriage. Me, who isolated himself more and more over the years, stopped talking, became passive and silent and distant. And that's all true. I was given the advice to act, in a way that won't make me cringe when I think about it 10 years later. I'll try, but I imagine the anger, the feeling of injustice won't disappear for a long time. Did you experience something similar? Did you ever have that feeling of injustice happening and not being able to do something about it?